Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. If we haven't met, my name is Marta Szlubowska. I'm a concert violinist from Poland originally, and I live in the United States. I am former concertmaster of the Mississippi Symphony Orchestra, and I love sharing my expertise and experience with the repertoire that I am currently performing and all have performed in the past and teach as well. So this is a series that I created to go through various pieces in violin repertoire more in depth. So rather than just playing, it's more of a masterclass and going through the piece in its entirety. So today we're going to talk about the Gypsy Airs or Zigeunerweisen by Pablo de Sarasate. And yes, it's not the hardest piece on the planet. However, it is full of wonderful techniques and stylistic questions that you may have. And I have played this piece all my life and just enjoy it immensely every time I play it. But also it is full of surprises and challenges. So I'm constantly discovering new things about it. So let's begin. So Pablo de Sarasate was a Spanish composer, and in the music that I have here by Carl Fischer, the edition by Carl Fischer, New York, there's just a couple of sentences I'd like to read about the piece. It is hardly possible to prescribe any set rules as to the exact manner in which this composition is to be played. It should be interpreted with absolute freedom in order to resemble as closely as possible the character and style of improvised gypsy music. So I agree with that completely. However, sometimes students will take it too far and improvise everything from intonation to tone to speed to everything. So we want to make sure that the quality of this performance is good. We're not trying to be gypsy players, amateurs in that sense, that maybe asks for questions here about the technique. So we want to make sure that our technique is intact and that we're playing in tune and beautiful sound, and plus then we add the freedom of interpretation. So let's begin from the beginning. Moderato tempo. At the beginning we have an orchestra or piano introduction, and then we have the traditional opening. So that's needs to be a full, strong sound on the G string. So the fingerings are pretty standard. You just go to third position, and then you have a little turn there. Of course, you can do your own turn. There have been thousands of different interpretations of these turns. However, this is what's originally written by Sarasate. And then we have a fermata on that last note. And now begins some virtuosity. So make sure that you are understanding this passage. So it's really not a scale as much as what's a scale with a skip. So we have that's the scale. It's really a G minor harmonic scale with missing A instead of having or A. So we're in C minor here. And we have a G minor scale here, G minor, and it happens to go for 3 octaves. So that's 1 octave. That's the second octave, G to G, and then we start shifting. So in this edition, I like these fingerings, so I personally use them. Go to 1 again, 1, and 1 again, and then 3 on that highest E flat. So I think I have a video where you can see how I also suggest practicing these. So I don't think I have an actual practice technique. I just mentioned that you have to make sure that your hand is traveling around the instrument so that you not get stuck with the shifting there. So then you have to go around the instrument again. So just take your time, because there's some augmented intervals there, some thirds, and each time we're shifting with the first finger, if that's the fingering you choose. So what I do is I go, and then I change a bow on this top C, and then E flat is down bow, and then C. So you can bow it in some other way. This is just the way I do it. Then we go back to G string, which is really kind of a characteristic string for this rich Gypsy or Hungarian or Romanian or whatever country you want to imitate here or style. The G string is very popular, right? The violin G string. So we have to jump now an octave. So I would suggest that you go, because it's fourth position, so it's just a little bit higher than the third position. Just try to hit the instrument there at the bout, and you should be able to have that third finger. Occasionally I don't hit it correctly, but most of the time, 99.9% of the time, I hit it right. So I have some different fingerings here that I have experimented in the past, but since it's Gypsy music, we like to slide a lot, do a lot of portamento, and I kind of do a little thing here. Then two chords. So I like those two chords to be kind of short, full but short, without dragging them out. Then the piano or orchestra plays a scale, which then we have to get ready for that F, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere. But of course, it is a position that we need to be aware of. So this is sixth position, right? So again, it's the bout of the instrument that you have to get to. And as long as you have time, as long as you do it quickly, you don't actually have time, but as long as you do it very quickly and you place the finger before you play, then you should be able to find that third finger really well. And you also have to be able to hear that note. So as long as we prepare it and also prepare your ear for it, make sure you hear it. Okay, now we have a diminished arpeggio, which is very long. It goes from the F in sixth position on the E string all the way to the G string. So make sure you get your rhythm correctly too. Don't fudge the rhythm. Sometimes I hear students just kind of skimming through the rhythm and skimming through the notes just because it's Gypsy music. We do need to be accurate and make it beautiful. So diminished. So all minor third. So I have 3, 1, 2, 1. Those are the fingerings I'm playing. Second finger, first finger. So really we're stretching the position. We're not really in one position in particular. So we have to really listen carefully so that diminished arpeggio is well in tune. So you can just play individual notes, just the first note of each triplet. In this is measure, it doesn't have measure numbers, but it's the 30-second triplet one section. And then we have a scale. So I slurred that in. There are different slurs, different additions, of course, for bowings. So make sure that the A flat, and then we shift to G string, same A flat. So listen for that A flat. And then we climb up on the G string some more. So here's another diminished arpeggio, and make sure you get your beat. So 1, 2, da 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 dum. But you have time because you are playing with a pianist or orchestra who will wait for you a little bit. But you do need to be aware of how that sextuplet actually, how fast it actually is. So then you can be a little creative with the rubato. but it's one of the hardest passages here. So diminish. So I go 1, 2, 3, and then 3 again. Then down to 3. So there's some intonation to work on there because everything is very high and also closer than it would be in first position. 2, 1, and then shift. Okay, and then we finish that F sharp back to G, or to G major rather. So we're going to the dominant. So we were in C minor at the beginning, now we're in G major. Okay, so arpeggios, of course, practice them slowly, practice them separately, practice them in rhythms. You can mix and match the rhythms, so direct rhythms, then reverse. And then you can do triplets, quadruplets, you can do separate. And those are different groupings, but it's overall, it's not going to be measured unless you really want to. You can measure it in triplets and quadruplets if you want to, but it's quite improvisatory. So, and then the last arpeggio, of course, is the longest one. So just make sure that you're listening to each octave. Then I would shift here to fourth position, seventh position, 3, 4, 5, 6 position, and then ninth position. So it's ninth position, but listen to the G, G major, G major, G major. Now it's here, it gets a little crowded, right? So I always practice up and down. So spend some time up there because, of course, we're familiar with the lower octaves, but the higher octaves sometimes can go out of tune. Okay, so let's move on. The next section is called, then we have the pizzicato, right? So I get ready, make sure my left hand is ready, and I hit it pretty hard with the right hand. So you may not be ready for that, so start with maybe a little gentler. And you can also, by starting the G string, holding on to the G string a little firmer, then just pull, the whole thing goes. Okay. And the next section is called Lento, Trapassione, or Trépassion, however you want to pronounce it, French. And so we have some double stops coming up. Make sure that you know the scale that this is based on, because now we're back to C minor again. This part here. So it requires more strength to vibrate on that. Make sure, so I'll practice on lower string first. You can practice trying to vibrate, or even if you're not vibrating, practice just on one string, fingering both notes. So that's my go-to exercise. Then we have a passage coming up, this kind of stuff. So again, go slow, make sure you know the scale this is based on. We have a B natural and A flat. Okay, it's first position. Then we're gonna shift. It's F natural really, but sometimes I play F sharp. It's very tempting. No, F natural. So yes, so I'm even, after all the years I've been playing it, sometimes we alter things as we perform the piece. And sometimes it feels more natural to especially with the grace notes or trills, to add your own little interpretation. And but then I have to ask myself, what was really written? So it is F natural here. And then we go, so I'm using the bowings that are in the part here. So I go, and then I go to C on the down bow. Then we're up bow on the, okay? And then we have this little turn, which you don't have to measure. Just have fun with that. I make a portamento there. I like a lot of portamentos, but before you do portamento, obviously you have to know where that note is. So just find the notes first, and then later you can do a portamento. So one thing I want to mention in this piece is when you look at the part, it's very improvisatory, but you have to make sure you know your rhythm. So I've been playing this piece for years and years, so I know what the rhythm is, and I want to line that up with the pianist. Would be good to play it with a pianist. But you can also practice with the metronome. You can also, some of the scales obviously you cannot put with a metronome, where there's fermata and there's arpeggios and all that. But you could practice it with the metronome if you wish, measuring it, triplets, quadruplets, etc. But there are certain sections where you do need to really feel the rhythm really, really well. So like this Lento section, you're gonna have to go pom, dom, pom, 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 and there will be rubato there, yes. But make sure you know the relationships between 8th notes and 16th notes and double dotted quarters with 16th notes. You need to know that, how it's all organized, and then from there we can get a little freer. So, for example, this section after that little tremolo, for example, here we're back to time. It does say appassionato, espressivo, and ritenuto. So, but know that it's 8th note, 8th note. Sorry. 2, 1, 3. So it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you can count like that when you play. Okay, and then this is the fun part coming up with the glissandi. And I play this kind of shaking my hand. I have to get tense to do that. I don't know how other people do it, but... And then... So once you slide down and then you go, yeah, pa 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 pa. Again, there will be some rubato. It says ritenuto, then it says presse to quicken. But you need to know how those sextuplets fit in time without those extra ritenutos. All right? Sorry, this is the slide. 4. So I go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3. I'm on the D string here, like it's printed in the music. And then I separate. I like to separate these sometimes because that's a very gypsy characteristic. It is says here on the beat, but I have played da 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 da, with the pianist arriving on that last note. So right now I'm kind of torn between the two. So you can play around with that, listen to some other recordings and decide. You can listen to my recording, which I'm trying to remember what I did on that recording, but it will be either before or on the beat. Either one will work as long as you coordinate that with the pianist. Okay, and then going on, let's do a little bit more. So this is back in tempo. So here you would want to shift to a fifth position. I mean, this is fourth, so sixth position. So we need that pivot note in order to hit the G. Another third, which again is very high, so you have to practice your thirds apart from this piece, of course. But I would practice on one string. So that's tuned up. Now here, I've noticed that it is marked with accents. I don't play it like that. I do that, and maybe because it happens later, I gravitated toward playing it ricochet like that. So that's one way to do it. You can go. It does say ritenuto, but again, it's the editor's. I'm not sure who edited this. There's no name, so your name could be on there. You can come up with your own version. And then we have the apostaccato. So I don't know how many of you are really good at that. I'm kind of decent at that. So you tense up your hand, or some people do it flying staccato a little bit more off the string. But the first thing, of course, you have to make sure that you can play the notes comfortably with the left hand. So practice the left hand. So you need to make sure that you have, there's some groupings, right? We have, so that's one group. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So groups of 4. F natural. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 groups of 4. So 8 groups of 4, that's 32 notes. So you can organize it in 4s, then you can do it 8 notes, so it can flow better, right? And then I love this part. Then you're really high. So D, and then G. If you can vibrate, it is pianissimo, but you know, it's a gypsy song, and it's very exciting, so it doesn't have to be too soft. So I kind of try to play each note rather than don't do just a glissando, but shake your hand so that it becomes like individual notes a little bit. That makes it more passionate. So here we have fingered all third finger. I don't do that. Let's see, how do they? I do 2 here, then I do 3, I do 2 here, and then 3. So you can break it up as you want. You can do all 3. 3 just seems like too much for me to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 notes just with one finger. So I'm dividing it a little bit, like that first F I play with the second finger, then I do a second finger here. You can substitute here. Another slide, another one of those bumpy slides. Make sure your bottom note is correct. And then we have, so that's a chromatic scale. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And we finish the phrase with the same pattern we had before. Okay, so this gives us about half of that first section. So I'll see you on the next one. Hello everyone, this is Marta again. We are here with the Sarasate's Gypsy Airs, Zigeunerweisen. This is part 3. I put in measures and I started counting with the pickup notes. So the pickup notes at the very beginning of the piece, I counted as the first measure. So just so you know. So we are now at measure 30. So this is a return to this main theme here of this section that started at Lento. So I put a little fermata on there so that I have a little more time, and then there's some natural harmonics and then artificial harmonics. So make sure that you stretch your fourth finger nice and straight so that you can have a strong harmonic on that B. And then I put a little fermata also on that last G harmonic, and don't play the harmonics too softly. It says pianissimo, but I would personally play it a little bit louder so that you can have a good effect. You're by yourself there. So going on. Okay, so here's a kind of an adventurous little section. So I have my own bowings here. 3 and then another 3, then 2. I slur these 2 and then a bow staccato. And then I go on the same bow, just like it's printed in this edition, the Carl Fischer edition. So make sure that your hand is ready for that big slide. Then practice. And of course, up bow staccato. We've already had that earlier in measure 24, so you probably already developed some exercises to practice it with rhythms. Or you can practice Kreutzer. Etude number 2 also is very good for that. Going on, measure 33, after the fermata, then we have left hand pizzicato. So I don't go quite that slow, but make sure you can make each note speak really well. So take your time. Of course, very, very firm pizzicato. You can practice it if you have trouble with the pizzicato. I'll play it first arco. Make sure you know all the notes, and then slowly you can also do pizzicato, kind of for fun, just to vary it. Going on. Oops. Okay, we have a fermata here on just I play harmonic there even though it's not written. So I go 4, 3. You could do 4. Depends on your fingers, how long your fingers are. There's a lot of variation here with fingerings, so I'm just giving you my options, my preferences. And then sorry, it was a diminished. So it's an A flat, right? So we have fully diminished. Same on the way back. So I go 4, 2, 1. And you can be a little bit free with the portamentos, so a little bit of sliding. I'm on D string now. And 1, 2. Again, it's a fermata. Now here, eventually it will be ricochet, so it's not easy to make it all speak. So just take your time practicing it. You can do spiccato. You can do different bowings. Of course, left hand is the priority. You have to make sure the left hand, there's some stretching going on here. So 1, 2, 4, 3, 1, 3, 2. And then slide back to the D string. On the beat, right? Then going on the same little theme pattern, that little scale going up. Because this is all really all variations, right? This piece is full of variations, kind of improvisatory variations. I separate this note. I slur it like that. Because in this edition, actually, it's all slurred all on one bow. And in forte, you really can't do that. So I do 1, 1. And then I do the 64th. And I tend to play more than there are groups here because, you know, I feel a little bit freer here. Maybe not, maybe not. I am measuring it actually. So make sure you hear that B. So we're going 5 positions up with the second finger. You can practice pivot note B, and then again I do a harmonic there on the G string, and then I put a little fermata on it. So there's some things that I would add to this edition. I would put a few more extra fermatas so we have time to hold these harmonics a little longer. And here's the pianissimo again, which I would take with a grain of salt. Back to this melody again. Now this is probably the most difficult passage, one of the most difficult passages. So make sure you have good fingerings. I would stay, then shift down to second position. So going from 4th position to 2nd position on the E flat there. And I slur it into the next, into the C. So I slur it into that note, and then that's where the phrase kind of closes, that pattern, and then we have a scale going up on the G string. So for some reason there are no fingerings here, but what I would do is go climb up on the G string. It doesn't say that here in this edition, but that's standard. Usually how it's done is played on the G string. So I just go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's what I do. And then harmonic, B, so that B in this 3rd position, G. So this is the most challenging section. Of course, I would practice it up and down the scale. And then come back. Which I haven't done in a while. So you can make sure you know what the fingerings are on the way back, right? And you can do separate. And then come back. always shift here. You can do rhythms. Then we can slur. Then slur 2. Then you can go. You can come up with all sorts of different rhythms. Some separate, some slurred. So a lot of variety is important there, because this is going to have to go fast. All right. So intonation here is going to be a challenge, because you're going to make sure you hear the B. And here's another diminished B, A flat. It's not really a scale, it's like scale and arpeggio combined them. So I go 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, and then I go down to first position. So make sure you know those notes, because that can be very easily out of tune. So B, A flat, G, E. So it's really a G major. With some passing notes, right? So B, B flat, A flat, G, E, D, B, A flat, G. We don't have a B on the bottom, but make sure you know how it's grouped. So we have B, A flat, G, E, B. So this is one octave. A flat, G, E, D, B. So it's an odd little arpeggio, but I've got to make sure you know what you're playing there. Okay, going on. So I slur 3, then I separate. I slur these two, F, separate. So then I'm up bow, because I like that up bow. Not too fast, because those are still 8th notes. And then you gotta hear that F natural. So find it an octave lower, and then go all the way to the octave higher. And then here it says chromatic scale, glide with one finger. So this is F, E. So I glided with a little bit of a shake. So it's like a vibrato with a slide. So it has that kind of a gypsy slide rather than just a smooth one. A little more passionate. E flat, F sharp. Slowly. So all diminished. I play it all on one bow. So be patient if it doesn't feel like you can do it that fast. Just be aware that it's a fully diminished arpeggio. So E flat, C, A, F flat, F sharp, sorry, E flat, C, A, F sharp, E flat. So this is the first, well, this is actually the second part of the Sarasate, but this is our third part. Remember, this is my third part that I've worked in the masterclass. So now we're going to go to un peu plus lent. So this is the even slower section. It's with the mute. So this is like a very slow, lyrical, very melancholic section. So we have an introduction of 4 measures, and then mostly what's about this one is the style and making sure that it's really beautiful and you take your time, especially in the second strain, that it is just full of soul, right? It's not just notes, and it's also on the mute, so it has to be a very beautiful So this is very typical of gypsy. He even writes accents there, right? Actually, I slur this and then I go up. So I'm in 4th position here. Then 2nd string. So it's kind of exaggerated. I would do quite a juicy vibrato. The timing here is up to you, of course. And he even writes triple piano. So I go, actually that's what's written in here, the fingerings. So B is the 2nd finger, there's a fermata. Then we have this little grace note with a C, with the 3rd finger, it's all on A string. And then we're gonna slide into the 2nd finger for measure, this is measure 58, 9, 61, 2, 3, 63. So downbeat of 63 has that C that we're gonna slide into. So I'm gonna go back to 58. And now and the tip here, so I'm very soft. Now I make a forte here 2nd time. This is even more time here. And this is kind of free in my opinion. Now we're back to tempo here. So there's some freedom here you can have at 67. The orchestra or the pianist can wait for you as you tremolo this. But then make sure that you are clear as to where you come in at 68. So we're back in C minor. And just know that this is the repetition. Same notes. Those soft steps, D, E flat, F sharp, G, B, C, and then I do it on one bow. You could possibly do it on more than one bow there. Do 2 bows and then even separate at the end. So depending on how you want to express this ending, you could take more time. So this is the end of part 3 of Sarasate Zigeunerweisen. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. So we're now in the last movement of the Sarasate. This is the Allegro molto vivace, which is the fastest dance. They all go one into the next, so it's not actual movements, but they are distinguished by different characters and tempos. So Sarasate pretty much uses all the violin techniques that he can find. He's already introduced most of them in the first part of the piece. So here we're going to be dealing with more double stops, pizzicato, spiccato, so the bouncing bow, a lot of that, artificial and natural harmonics, left hand pizzicato, playing on the G string, and that's mostly it, and glissandi. There's a little bit of glissandi. So let's get to it. So this is the first piano or orchestra comes in with the initial theme, right? We all know that. So we're dealing here with some octaves. So just like with any double stops, practice on the lower string first, but still put both fingers down so you can feel the stretch. Then after you've tuned that, then go to the top note. and you can practice it gradually speeding up. We have a lot of spiccato. In this case, we have the this is spiccato here. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to comment on below the video. But also I have some videos in Technique of the Week that talk about spiccato as well as all these other techniques. So make sure you check that out. So spiccato, of course, we have to make sure that we utilize the natural bounce of the bow. But then we also have to be able to flex the fingers, have a little bit of that colle feeling, so that we can respond to the bouncing bow. Of course, that's a lesson all by itself, just to practice spiccato. But so that's what we have at the beginning. And as a gypsy piece, we have all these little accents that come up. So you're gonna have some of that character going on. Then we have the passage in measure 76. That's not a difficult passage, but there's a lot of spiccato going on. So if you have first I would learn this on the string. Okay, so that's one way. Of course, then we have some rhythms. All right, so make sure that when you're playing this rhythm, there's a lot of misconception about this particular dotted rhythm. Make sure that you are ready when you're playing the long note, the first note. You've got to prepare the next two. Prepare the next two. That's correct. So prepare the next two. Next two. Next two. So if you can put them down, that's the ideal. If you can't, like if they're going up, for example, then just get them really close to the fingerboard and make sure you know what they are, what's coming up. So I'll do different rhythms. Then, of course, once you have détaché pretty good, then the speed itself is going to help you bounce the bow, because this is more of a sautille. It's a faster spiccato. So faster spiccato is a sautille. But the left hand has to be nice and solid before you can do that. Then we have a passage in measure 79 that's a little tricky, because we have to prepare. I would practice preparing both notes. I play third position, then first position. So place both notes, the big jumps, and that's spiccato. So again, we have that. We could do it on the string at first. Prepare, prepare, and then here I'm going to fourth position. So you don't have to necessarily hold on to these two notes the entire time, but practicing that way would be a really good exercise, really good stretchy exercise. Okay, so then we go on to a similar section in 82, 3, and 4. In 85, we have to jump from the previous, so we have a big jump. So make sure you can hear that A. You're aware that it's in 2 octaves above, so you can practice by sliding. It's actually third finger A is in first position, so you would have to find a pivot note. So it's going to be a G, because A, if you play A with the fourth finger in measure 85, then the pivot note is that same third finger from the first position. So make sure you're relaxed, so you're not sliding too hard, so you have ease of movement. And you're gonna have to turn your hand a little bit, turn the wrist, make sure the thumb goes up a little bit, right? So you're on the instrument, but not too high. So you find a happy medium, so you're still strong. And then the fourth finger is right there. I'm sorry, it was supposed to be a G. G, because the A is with the fourth finger. I think I misspoke. So you have to G, and then A is with the fourth finger. So here the intervals are getting smaller, So you just have to pay a special attention to intonation there. And again, the piece is full of these runs, so you just have to take them slowly, do them on the string, do them with rhythms, and listen to, you know, octaves, making sure that you know what scale you're playing, etc. So we have some accents. So the same pattern as we had in measure 76, measure 82, the same pattern, just starting on a different note. So 3 down and back, and then so I'm shifting down, then 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry, you have a second finger, because there are no fingerings written in here. I might have just been playing the same fingerings as in measure 76. 1. So I got a little bit flat. Okay, so we are now in 3, 4, 5, 6, 6th position. That is measure 89. So we shifted, shift to 1, and again. And I actually play that last note up bow, so then I can play down bow on the repeat. Okay, measure 91. This is where we have some slurs starting, because this is kind of a little bit of a rubato, a little bit of a creative little section, because Sarasate writes this slide on the A string in measure 92. So I play this on the string. It is piano here also. So then we have, I shift 1, 2, 3. I end up playing it with the 3rd finger. Some people play with the 4th finger. I play with the 3rd finger. So I'm going up an octave to that E harmonic, and then you have to get back to 4th finger on the same string, and then prepare that 4th finger on the D. I'm going a little bit too far. So then we have another 4 on the back to 3rd position on G. Then we go up 5 notes. Same slide. Okay, so the problem with the slide is that we kind of need a little bit of time, physically speaking. Some people try to play it right in time, and there are virtuosos out there that do that. I personally like to kind of sweep that up and then give myself just a little bit of time to come back on that scale. So, okay, I made a mistake before with the fingering. So we go down to 3rd position in measure 92, not staying up there. So that's why I was sounding out of tune. Okay, and then we go to 3rd position. You could do the other, but that's really risky. That's why it sounded kind of strange. Some people may be doing that. I go to 3rd position. Another slide, so we have that glissando. And then here we're on the same string. So we're grouping. It's easy that way because we have 4 notes going down, another 4 notes. So the fingerings are kind of simple that way. So in measure 96, 95. Okay, and then we have arco pickup and pizzicato. Okay, we have the same chords later in the movement, in measure 155, and it's going to be arco there with the bow. So it's good to practice it with arco. And even when you have just pizzicato, I would practice it with the bow. Because then later when you have to play it, you don't want to be like not sure as to how well you're playing those chords in tune. So that's a good place to practice also with the bow. That is measure 96, 7, 8, 9, 100. And I'm counting, I am not counting the both endings, I'm just counting one of the endings. So it will be, what the pizzicato is for me, it's measure 99 actually. Measure 99. Okay. So we have pizzicato, we have some double stops. So I'm on the A and D strings. Then I slide. And this is not easy because it's high up. So what I was going to say also about this movement is make sure that this is not a movement that it's too much of a stretch for you, in a sense that you don't know how to play some of these techniques. You will need to practice them on etudes and other maybe less difficult pieces, or pieces where you can deal with one of the problems, like let's say left hand pizzicato or spiccato or harmonics, because this piece is often played a little bit too early in students' repertoire level, just because there's so many problems in one place. So just be aware of that, that you make sure that you're practicing these techniques in etudes as well, and scales. Okay, so then we have measure 103. So we have now scales going up. Earlier, like in 76, we had scales, little scales going down. Now we have to go up, which is actually not easy, because your hand needs to now be much more available to move up, because we're going very quickly and we're shifting a lot. So so I play an open E there on that pickup to 103, and then I do second finger. See, this is interesting lesson for me as well, because I'm looking at my part and sometimes I don't write things in, and so in order to teach you, I have to make sure I'm saying it correctly. So I shift up here to first finger on the B, then I go 1, 1, 2. So I end up on the fourth finger at the C. And another thing that's a little challenging in this piece is that there's more and more, as we progress through the movement, more and more high notes, quick notes. So they get narrower. So you just have to be very, very careful. The climax of all that is at the very, very end, when you have to repeat a pattern in the very, very high position, and they're all half steps. So just be very careful for intonation. All right, so again, the same thing like we did in the beginning with the 16th notes, practice them détaché, then I'll practice them slurred as well. So I love practicing slurs when they're separate and separate when they're slurs. So always reverse, so you can teach your hand to be able to play. When you play with a slur, you have to play more legato with the left hand. When you play separate, we tend to cheat a little bit with how we connect the notes. So that's very important. Then we have a left hand pizzicato there in measure 106 at the end. And then pluck again. Okay, so then the same things happen in measure 110, 11, etc. Measure 114, I put a fermata on the last note because it's nice to change the character here. I think a lot of violinists do that. So when you go, okay, and then 115, I do the first time louder with playing on the string, and then the second time I play off the string, spiccato. So again, or spiccato sautille really, because it's fast. And then what happens is that when you have a good détaché, and then you start moving your hand. First you move your hand horizontally. In order to get to a sautille, you start moving your hand vertically. So you can watch my videos, Technique of the Week, I talk about that. So I hope you check that out. All right, so these, I just do echoes there between 115 and 127. Let me know if you have any questions there. Then we progress toward the harmonics. And we have a melody on the bottom other than the harmonics. So we have, that's where the melody is, right? So sometimes we forget, and we get so preoccupied with the harmonics, we forget that the melody is actually on the bottom and it has to be in tune. So just make sure you're good with that. This is gonna be pretty much off the string. So you have to be pretty strong here, crossing strings. You can do it on the string, a little slower. At first, of course, do it a lot on the string. Another thing you can do is practice just the harmonic. You do each one twice, which would be kind of like the beginning exactly. Then it's arco. Then the next measure, let's see, sorry, it's actually on the E string. Then back to A string. Okay, so we can do E string twice. So just playing the harmonics alone will be helpful. And if you have any questions, again, I have these Technique of the Week videos you can check out. These are artificial harmonics, so you have to make sure that the bottom note is in tune. So the bottom note would be the round black note. So tune that up, of course. So if you have D, this is measure 128. Right? It's gonna be mostly with the first finger, except for some open strings. But you hopefully know this by now. If you have any questions, please let me know. The next part, 133, so the next variation, really, it's a set of variations here. We have left hand pizzicato, and that is something you can practice different ways. You can practice it all pizzicato, like right hand. That's kind of fun to do that. But you can't go too fast. There's a limit to that. But with the bow, I slur these two notes here. Oh, that is interesting. I just noticed that for the first time, that there's no pizzicato written on that last A in measure 135. That is strange, because that's how everybody plays it. This one is missing in my edition. Then I go to second finger. Then I go to second finger. So first position on C sharp. I actually play that on the down bow there. So if you have any questions about the left hand pizzicato, the main thing is you have to practice it outside of this piece as well. You can just practice, you know, you can just practice different ways, like just going from one note, or then play an arco. So you can come up with your own scales also. But this is a good good beginning. At measure 133, that's a good excerpt that you can practice this on in different ways. I would also practice it with the bow. So before you even play pizzicato, I would play it just all arco. So that you really know what those notes are. Very, very important. Okay, and then the next part is somewhat challenging because it's on the G string, and here we have to have a really good articulation in the left hand. You could play it spiccato if you want. Some people do that. I tend to play it more détaché, more on the string, and then we have these pizzicatos in between. So I would practice just without the pizzicato. So perhaps like that, or that doesn't work, but because here you have to shift most probably to fourth position. That's what I do. In measure 140, I'll go to first finger, and then second finger, then third finger, third position. Okay, so it is something to come up with some good fingering. So like I said, I start in fourth position at 139. So just play without the pizzicato notes. Then 3. I kind of stretch there. Then back to first position. Then start in second position on the first finger. Down to 1. So finish in fourth position. So of course this is subject to your own preferences to fingerings, because G string, you gotta keep it on the G string. Okay, and then going on, we're coming back to the previous variation that we had in measure 99. The only change is now this is the coda. So now we're going to be playing at measure 155. We have the same chords we have played with the bow, arco. Right? And then we have some plucking there with the left hand. So here, what I was saying, it's marked in my part as animé or plus animé to speed up, but I wouldn't worry about it. Most people don't speed up until the very end. I think partly it's because it is really tricky to make that well in tune, starting in measure 161 when you have your see. Okay, so if you need fingerings, it will be the same as measure 103. So starting in second position, then shift up to 1, which is fourth position on the B. Then we have 1, 1. I shift. I need to write these in because I am doing it by heart, which I've been playing this piece so long. Actually, I'm shifting on the E. I'm shifting on the E, and in measure 160, I'm shifting on the fourth 16th notes, which 16th note, which could be played like harmonic as well. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then we're up fourth finger. Okay, so this is where it's tricky because it's so close, everything. And of course, if you go really fast, I'm more in favor of actually playing it in tune. I often hear this being kind of faked, so I don't like that, even if it's very fast and impressive. I would prefer that it's both impressive in an intonation sense and in speed. So in measure 162, I start in the second finger because I'm in that position, but then I shift up to a 1. So then I can play with the third finger. Yeah, I'm kind of playing around there, and you can play around yours also. Make sure, it depends on how thick your fingers are, because it's so close up there that you have to kind of substitute. So I'm not gonna really even talk about fingerings there. You can just look for what's comfortable. Because in measure 163, I start in the 3, then I slide down to 3. And then here I'm already on the second finger in 164. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you found it helpful and enjoyable. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe so we can reach more listeners. You can also put comments, suggestions, and requests for any other pieces you would like me to record in the comments below. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.